Boom warning. Boom. I'm thunderclad here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame, washing away the garbage, leaving rainbows after rains. Tonight I've got a croaky voice, but still I'll give it my best to do a bit of poetry for you guys and girls and everything in between and outside and outliers and inliers and whatever, and kookaburras too.
It's quite clear.
Yeah.
Your voice is quite clear.
Let's begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we broadcast, the Camille Ryan band by acknowledging the connection to the land of the elders and the present generations, and acknowledge sovereignties and have been ceded. Oh, it's a very, very, very sad situation. Hundreds and hundreds of people are being, at the moment, killed in wars in Ukraine, in Israel, the West Bank, Palestine, etc. Here's one I did in 2017 as part of the Street Poets News at the Newman Performance Poetry World Cup, which got me through into the final part of what I did. I'm about to sneeze, I think. Legend of the Bomber Gun. Henceforth the sleuth and warp was past. No more warping, kill est. Legend of the Bomber Gun. Peace now reigns, but the ribs were blood. Over there, in future earth, father tells his son a story. Long ago, the ribs were blood. This story will be gory. Henceforth the sleuth and warp was hest. No more warp, kill est. Legend of the Bomber Gun. Peace now reigns, but the ribs were blood. War ender came in a gust of whoosh. Against no warp did he push. The pushers and their ribs of blood all laid down the bomber gun. The bomber gun henceforth no gotten, but the ribs of blood are not forgotten. The peace now reigns, not the bomber gun. Warp's ribs of blood no longer roam. Henceforth the sleuth and warp will never warp kill est, no more ever. Legend of the bomber gun. Peace now reigns and the ribs are love. Warren stood between the others. He said, "Hey warps, kill me, your brother." The warps, they answered, "Why? But no, there's ribs of blood upon the snow. This bomber gun no need have gotten, but the ribs of blood are not forgotten." Warren came to heal the earth, and the ribs now run clear rainbow. Henceforth they stop the rivers of blood, and the ribs now flowing ribs of love. Warren to stop the bomber gun, the ribs of blood no longer run. "Tell me, Dad, what's a bomber gun?" "'Twas a machine to make the ribs of blood run, son." Henceforth the sleuth and warp was hest. No more warp kill est. Legend of the bomber gun. The ribs now flow clear rainbow. Part 2. Blossom flummoxed through the air, the sound of screaming everywhere, the smell of scourge upon the nose, the spiritualness that stained the clothes, or in a whoosh into the land there was rivers of blood upon the sand. Or in the call, "Hey warps, yes you, this bomber gun is killing you." The warps answered, "We don't want no more, no ribs of blood, no bloody war. We do not think the warp is funny, but we've invested lots of money. How can we stop the bomber gun so the ribs of blood no longer run?" Warrender said, "Those bomber guns, ground them down, make a huge pile far from town, ground them down and make no warp. Destroy bomber guns forevermore." They piled the bomber guns up high high. Giant Zilla pile up to the sky. They took the biggest bomber gun, the very last and rusty one. Were in the store, flew above the pile, or in the warps or smile. They dropped that last big bomber gun, the very last and rusty one. Then the bomber gun was never more. No ribs of blood upon the shore. They stopped and never ran again. The warps all became good friends. Henceforth, the sleuth and warp was hest. A pile of molten metal was left. Wherein stopped the warp somehow, they made robots, tools and homes and ploughs, no ribs of blood across the earth, just peace, love, and new rebirth. Henceforth they stopped the bomber guns, warps, ribs of blood no longer run. The sleuth and warp was gone forever. Bomber gun, tear less, no more ever. What end to stop the killing and fear? The bomber guns all disappeared. What end to left when the warp was over and the ribs of blood washed from the clover? The grass was green, the snow was white. There were no more bomber gun flashes at night. Blossom cleared from the sky. The singing birds were heard up high. The acrid scorch had left the nose where the ribs were clean to wash their clothes. Henceforth the sleuth and warp was hest. No more war, kill est. Legend of the bomber gun. Peace now reigns, and the ribs are no longer blood, but love. It's a futurist poem to predict the future when all of those 500,000 guns that someone's manufactured and wants to sell have been melted down and turned into ploughshares. And all of the military machinery right around the world has been melted down into ploughshares, and there are no more borders and no more wars, and we'll get on with that. But that's the future that we all need to work together towards. Now, poetry can deliver that. We've had some wonderful poets here in Australia, and last night, if you check out Chillin' Tuesday, you'll hear a young person's special I did last night, and I wish to continue the theme with some of our older poets passed on now. And particularly tonight I'm going to be focusing on the poetry of C.J. Dennis, Clarence Stanislaus, James Dennis. Those are very long names. Excuse me, I'll get a drink. Bit of ginger tea and lemon to soothe the throat. Woollabaloo. Here's a ridiculous riddle for you. How many O's in Woollabaloo? 2 for the W, 2 for the M. 4 for the I's, that's plenty of them. What about, that's C.J. Dennis, Woollamaloo. Well, what about Woolloongabba? Yabba dabba doo. Woolloongabba. Can anyone spell Woolloongabba correctly? I can. W-O-O-L-L-O-N-G-A-B-B-A. Like that. Because it's one of the most misspelt suburbs in Australia, and I thought, well, I'm going to learn how to spell it. W-O-O-L-L-O-N-G-A-B-B-A. Yeah. Woolloongabba. Hissed by C.J. Dennis. Hissed, hark! The night is very dark, and we've got a mile or so to go across the Possum Park. Step, light, keeping to the right. If we delay and lose our way, we'll be out half the night. The clouds are low and gloomy, oh, it's just begun to mist. We haven't any overcoats, and hissed, hissed, more. Oh, who was that spoke? This is not a fitting spot to make a silly joke. Dear me, a mopoke in a tree. It jarred me so I didn't know, whatever it could be. But come along, creep along, soon we shall be missed. They'll get a scare and wonder where we hush, hist. Shh, soft. I've told you oft and oft, we should not stray so far away without the moon aloft. Woo! Scat! Goodness, what was that? Upon my word, it's quite absurd. It's only just a cat. But we come along, haste along, soon we'll have to rush, or we'll be late and find the gate is hissed. Hush. Caw. Rook. Oh, I've had a shock. I hope and trust it's only just a frog behind a rock. Shoo, shoo, we've had enough of you, scaring folk just for a joke. It's not the thing to do, but come along, slip along, isn't it a lark, just to roam so far from home on hist, hark. Look, see, shining through the tree, the window light is glowing bright to welcome you and me. Shout, shout, there's someone round about, and through the door I see some more, and supper all laid out. Now run, run, run. Oh, we've had such splendid fun, and through the park in the dark as brave as anyone. Laughed, we did, and chaffed, we did, and whistled all the way, and we're home again, hip, hooray. C.J. Dennis, hist. Okay, the next one by C.J. Dennis is The Ant Explorer. Once, a little sugar ant made up his mind to roam, to fare away, far away, far away from home. He'd eaten all his breakfast, and he had his ma's consent to see what he should chance to see, and here's the way he went. Up and down a fern frond, round and round a stone, down a gloomy gully where he loathed to be alone, up a mighty mountain range 7 inches high, through fearful forest grass that nearly hid the sky, out along a bracken bridge, bending in the moss, till he reached a dreadful desert that was feet and feet across. 'Twas a dry, deserted desert and a trackless land to tread. He wished that he was home again and tight in bed. His little legs were wobbly, his strength was nearly spent, and so he turned around again, and here's the way he went. Away from desert lands, feet and feet across, back along the bracken bridge, bending in the moss, through the fearful forest grass, shutting out the sky, up the mighty mountain range 7 inches high, down a gloomy gully where he loathed to be alone, up and down a fern frond and round a stone. A dreary ant, a weary ant, resolved to roam, no more to roam. He staggered up the garden path and popped back home. Just like that. Yes, another C.J. Dennis. And to finish my C.J. Dennis little bit tonight, the Triantiwantygongolope. There's a very funny insect that you do not often spy, and it isn't quite a spider, and it isn't quite a fly. It's something like a beetle and a little like a bee, but nothing like a woolly grub that climbs upon a tree. Its name is quite a hard one, but you'll learn it soon, I hope. So try. Triantiwanty. Triantiwantygongolope. It lives on weeds and wattle gum and has a funny face. Its appetite is hearty and its manners a disgrace. But when you first come upon it, it will give you quite a scare. But when you look for it again, you'll find it isn't there. And unless you call it softly, it will stay away and mope. So try. Triantiwantygongolope. It trembles if you tickle or tread upon its toes. It's not an early riser, but it has a snubbish nose. If you sneer at it or scold it, it will scuttle off in shame. But it purrs and purrs quite proudly if you call it by its name, and offer it some sandwiches of sealing wax and soap. So try, Triantiwantygongolope. But of course, you haven't seen it. And I truthfully confess that I haven't seen it either, and I don't know its address. For there isn't such an insect, though there really might have been, if the trees and grass were purple and the sky was bottle green. It's just a little joke of mine, for which you'll forgive, I hope. So try, Triantiwantygongolope. And that's that. How about that? That's pretty good. And the last one is not a C.J. Dennis. In fact, I'm pretty sure the author of this is anonymous because it's in another book. Now it's The New England Cocky. Now, that's not a cockatoo. It's actually a cocky was the owner of a station or a sheep basically. And he had a lot of kids. It was a New England cocky, as of late I've been told, who died, so it is said, on account of the cold. When dying, he called to his children, "Come here, as I'm dying, I want my fortune to share." Dear children, you know I've toiled early and late. I've struggled with nature and wrestled with fate. Then all do your best to my fortune repair. And my son John, I leave a dear native bear. That's a koala. To Mary, I give my pet kangaroo. May it prove to turn out a great blessing too. To Michael, I leave the old cockatoo, and to Bridget, I'll give the piebald emu. To the others, whatever is left I will leave. Don't quarrel, or else my poor spirit will grieve. There's fish in the stream, and fowl on the lake. Let each have as much as any may take. And now, my dear children, no more can I do. My fortune I've divided fairly with you. And these were the last words that his children did hear. Don't forget that I reared you on pumpkin and bear. Yeah. So yeah, dinner was pumpkin and koala. How interesting. Back in the day, as they did. That's probably why we've got a loss of koalas at the moment, as well as the koala skin trade, which was huge.
I better go and get my rulers.
Yeah.
Don't get onto the subject of koalas.
I was a koala once for the Wilderness Society. I used to dance around the Brisbane streets of the Brisbane in a koala suit with a bucket, dressed up as a koala in the middle of the summer. And it was like 2 degrees in a furry koala suit that had been worn by other hippies. And
and sweated in for a week, and then it was washed once a week. And so if you have got like the Friday shift or the Saturday or the Sunday shift, oh my gosh, it was so stinky. Anyway, back when I was a koala. Now I'm Thundercloud. Oh my goodness gracious me. Well, we're going to get Ashley up here as soon as he comes back with his 3 rulers. But while he's out, I might quickly read this one here that I wrote about lest we forget. Lest we forget 1.2 million Tibetans killed in Tibet. Yes, that was the communists, never forget. The Tibetans who were burned, who were forced into re-education camps and tortured. Lest we forget the jackboots that stamp the 1.3 million Uyghurs currently in a concentration camp by Chinese communists, and many won't be free, die in prison and organs sold to elite Chinese. Lest we forget the 1 million+ Falun Gong who disappear, forced, re-educated and organs sold for many a year, and the baby girl farms to marry sons of the elite, or the 15 to 40 million who starve with nothing to eat. Lest we forget the violence and atrocity of the Chinese Communist Party is there for all to see. The Tiananmen protesters and tennis players who disappeared, yes, is fascist, totalitarian, and defending it is queer. A dog ate a frog and got sick. Not a good trick. A sick dog vomited up a frog and felt a better dog. Eating a frog is silly to do. It would make me sick too. That's why I don't eat frogs. I learned not to by watching dogs. Blech. Thank you very much. Don't eat frogs. Although I did eat frogs' legs when I lived in China, and they taste like chicken. They did.
So they say.
They did. They like little chicken drumsticks. They were lovely at the time. Yeah.
French like them. The French like them, don't they?
No, I didn't have them on my wedding day. All right. Well, are you ready, Ashley, to come on up, or Scott?
Oh,
Scott.
Skye wants to go, or off you go, Skye.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, and yes, he's beautiful. Skye. Very glad I like Skye because he lives in Skye. Here she is. Boom. I better lower that mic, eh? Yeah.
Attachment. Attachment of another is a funny thing when destiny is of the other, although wanting for the comfort of another, not wanting for the pain, and I know it will cause it again. When moons they are aligned to go wandering for the others, that of some name, that of the same name was spoken to me. With the hills, from the hills I have come, spreading seeds from above to the many I love, of empathy and compassion, to show beast we call human, more valuable than the label of butchery in hand, that we eye on our fate, as there's no need for the flesh you have ate.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Right.
Thank you.
That was something I found in my phone, and I just sort of.
That's good. They're the best stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
Alright, I'm gonna do another couple of ones that I've read before, but yeah. Anyway, dream turned reality. As you stand looking, I dream of a land without hurt, greed of man, which has led to death, as my death for your flavour, a sweet child, a friend, a saviour, a soul to save a soul that shows a favour, lifting me from the pen, a red, white and black hen, groomed to pet and live out my life, in comfort no strife, but for what? Selfishness, and what for the others who face the knife.
Yeah.
And I'll finish on my little, a positive hostage. Bit of a positive kind of end. So positively fabulous, although I'm feeling ravenous. I jump and skip and sway my hips, hug a tree and pout my lips, ready for a kiss. My brain was gone amiss. Then play the drums and yell for fun, dancing day and dancing night, soaring high with birds of flight. Feeling happy, feeling light, crawling on the ceiling high, falling down the walls I sigh. I'm so ecstatic I could cry. So much positive, I wonder why. When I come round, I hit the ground. 'Cause going up means coming down, and heading north sends you southward bound. If you go round and round, it's yin and yang, it will hit you with a bang. If you knock it out of whack, this insight you may lack, or maybe just slack, to feel the universal tap. It will hit you with a slap, tap, tap, slap.
Woo! Oh, I like that one. Yeah. Really. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Skye. That's about my mouth height. So, before I invite Ashley up, what do we got? Okay. Friends. There are friends alive crying and friends dead or dying, friends living while others are high flying. There are friends who are thriving and really trying, some have given up so there's no use crying. They come, they go, some fast, some slow, but each and every one knows that the wind on all blows. Some caught in the undertow, some burnt by lava flows, an avalanche of snow water written in prose. But life goes fast, remembering the past and our friends past. And we stick to our plan and task. Take time to sunbask, as these times don't last. Be authentic and unmasked, just as sand in the hourglass. Thank you very much. There are very few things that are what they seem, and there are people who live in a delusional dream. Standing out from the crowd can feel quite wild, but there are times for integration and times for exile. So, are you ready?
Oh,
Yep.
yes.
Ashley.
Turn the light up. I do too. Well, I must have my mind on something because I hopped out of my little white bubble gets and didn't bring my rulers. I had to go back and get them. And I thought of my dear friend Rafi Reich. We would sit above the Pacific Ocean and he had problems, and I said to him, "Why do you have problems?" And these are the things, the vicissitudes of war. He said to me, "Oh, the 67 or particular war broke out in Palestine and Israel." Notice I said Palestine first, but really I think there's a word we don't have that encompasses both. And he was standing on a runway when this surge of activity took place, and someone put a big map in his hand and said, "We haven't got anyone to go in the back seat of that fighter," or whatever it was, and to act as, reading the maps as pilot. And so in he hopped, and he had problems for the rest of his life because he was between 16 or 17 years old. And suddenly to be in combat, sitting behind the systems of weaponry and attack, and it's just an interesting story. And he came back down onto the runway, and he was never the same. When something is not properly planned and organised, or is too raw, it can cause trouble. And he had a life that was very interesting. I don't know if he's still alive. He retired in the end to Heidelberg, and his mum lived in the German kibbutz at Nahariya. But my thoughts were with him tonight when I went to get my rulers. The hypothesis is that if you're a kid and you have to go to war, it's pretty terrible, no matter what cause may cause us to run rather than pause. The implications of that are always going to be there, and the testing or parameters, hit or hip, whichever you wish. I wasn't going to be a smart ass, and I was going to call one of my sticks tonight Israel, and I was going to call my other stick Diego Garcia, and I was going to get James to throw a small ball between the play pit posts, the game posts, Israel, and on the other side here, Diego Garcia. Oh, they're rushing to get a ball just so it can live as a gesture. What is life but a rhetoric? Our life is but a rhetoric.
Oh, it's a goal.
What was the goal? Israel, one side of Western Asia, and Diego Garcia, I suppose about a third of the way into the Indian Ocean. But they're definitely US goalposts for some sort of game. Now, to the poetry. By the by, if you're interested in the integuments of history, being a history teacher, I'm with it tonight because there's so much history firing away, as James said. So many of these things are just done through political numbskullery. For example, in 20 or 21, when the English and the French, and of course large Greek armies went into, the Ottoman went into Turkey, the English army advised, no, don't do it, which is very interesting because many events flow from that desert shed. I suppose I should say watershed, but I don't often read poems twice, but last week's poem about Jewish consciousness is germane, isn't it? And I sat down and I thought maybe I should call it Jews wear or Jews beware. The Jewish men wear hats at synagogue quietly, hoping that God smites their pancake caps softly. It's always left out in an analysis of these things that I think I once said here at this microphone that if you're born Jewish, you're also admonished that if you fall away from the ideal of that code or faith, you are going to be, I should get my rulers again and whack in outer space, you are going to be punished. And that's a fundamental coin that flips. You are the child of the universe, and in some senses the child of God, but if you fall short of that, which is a comment that few make, they always comment on anti-Semitic, I suppose, anti-Jewish ranting, that Jewish culture sees itself as so particular and special. Well, yes and no. I wrote this today while eating, what are those things, big rock cakes just up in the bakery here. The cool afternoon by the pool, and inside the phone would ding-a-ling-a-ding-a-ling. The favourite chair awaited in that corner. Now, in bustling traffic, on the busy moment, electronic burr invites you to press. I cannot hear you. Say again. I'm on the bridge. Say again. Can't hear. So once we sat on our verandas waiting for the phone to ring, and now there are all sorts of buzzes and electronic pulses for all sorts of communications that are taking place or perhaps not taking place. Communication is a very broad conversation. Now, something I have started to observe. I won't do the Turkish verse tonight, poetry. I was just sitting thinking, reading an essay of Badra Kumar on Indian punchline that I would recommend to anyone who wants to peek into these tumults in Western Asia. It's like a big tree with a lot of branches. So if you go to today's essay by the Indian diplomat and scholar Badra Kumar on Indian punchline, you will read something very interesting about the Azerbaijan-Armenian situation, which directly relates to the upheavals in Israel and Gaza. I'll finish with a poem that haunts me. And it haunts many people. It's a war poem, but it's generated a tremendous amount of comment. I remember when dear Stevie died, I was a boy, and we used to get the BBC magazine, The Listener. And there was a lot of chitter-chatter about her. She was a most revered figure with the English. And particularly, I remember a long article that had been transcribed down from a radio program about this poem. And it has a complexity, yes, and a strangeness that is unique to her, I think. A soldier dear to us. It was the war. I was a child. They came from the trenches to our suburb mild. Our suburb then was more a country place. They came to our house for release. In the convalescent army hospital that was once a great house and landed estate lay Basil, wounded on the Somme, but his pain was not now so great that he could not be fetched in a bath chair or hobble on crutches to find in our house there my mother and aunt, his friends on leave, myself. She's written in brackets. I was 12. And a hearth rug to lie down in front of the fire on and rest himself. It was a November, golden and wet, as there had been little wind that year, and the leaves were yet yellow on the great trees, on the oak trees and the elms of our beautiful suburb as it was then. When Basil woke up, he liked to talk and laugh. He was a sweet-tempered, laughing man. He said, "My dear, listen to this." Then he read from the Church Times how angry the bishop was because of the reserved sacrament in the church of St Albans, Holborn. "Now, my dear," he said, "for a treat next Sunday, I will take you all to All Saints, Margaret Street. Only you will have to sit on the ladies' side, though you are not yet one, really." Basil never spoke of the trenches, but I saw them always, saw the mud, heard the guns, saw the duckboards, saw the men and the horses sleeping in the great mud, saw the rain falling and never stopped, saw the gaunt trees and the rusty frame of the abandoned gun carriages, because it was the same as the poem, "Child Roland to the Dark Tower came," I was reading at school. Basil and Tommy and Joey Porteous, who came to our house, were too brave even to ask themselves if there was any hope. So I laughed as they laughed when Basil said, "What will Ronnie do now?" It was Ronnie Knox, Willie Pope. Poping was being the head rower in the great school rowing contests. "What will Ronnie do now?" It was Ronnie Knox, Willie Pope. And later, when he had poped, Tommy gave me his book for a present, The Spiritual Aeneid, and I read of the great torment Ronnie had had to decide, which way this or that. But I thought Basil and Tommy and Joey Porteous were more brave than that. Coming to our house were the brave ones, and I could not look at them for my strong feelings except slantingly from the hearthrug look at them. "Oh, Basil, Basil, you had such a merry heart, but you taught me a secret you did not perhaps mean to impart, that one must speak lightly and use fair names like the ladies they used to call the Eumenides." "Oh, Basil, I was a child at school. My school lessons coloured my thoughts of you." Envoy, the last words of this poem. Tommy and Joey Porteous were killed in France. Now 50 years later, Basil has died of the shots he got in the shell crater. The shrapnel has worked round at last to his merry heart. I write this for a memorial of the soldier dear to us he was. Eumenides were the Avengers who came upon Orestes, I think, for killing his mother. And there are many references. But it's an extraordinary poem, I think.
Okay, hello everybody out there in YouTube, Facebook, or whatever medium that you're watching this on. I got 3 to go from one of my books, Love in Nimbin, and 3 to go written this week. Now, TT. All right, so I want to know, you out there in YouTube world, leave a comment where you're watching from, please, so that I can send you a heart, and then we know where everyone's watching from these poetry nights. That would be really appreciated, and if you can, give it a thumbs up, because that also helps with my metrics, and it gets poetry out to more people. Now, earlier on in the night, I read out to you Legend of the Bomber Gun, which is available in my book, my second book, Lust in Nimbin, and that's available here from the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame or online from Amazon.com. Look it up, Lust in Nimbin, and I'm going to read out in my book, Love in Nimbin. Now, also available on Amazon. The first one I want to start with is Let It Go. I guess it's all these a message to all these arguing warmongers who are arguing about the past. The past is history and can't be changed. Don't let the past keep causing pains. How you view the past will be how you feel in the present, see? Get over what holds you back. It's your own mind that's a trap. Past is gone and can't change. You're okay now. Don't blame past pains. You're welcome to remain a schmuck. It's your choice to stay in the past stuck, but in the past you can resent. You can't resent. You're here now in the present. There's one thing that you can do, live in the present moment too. That's that. Alrighty-o. Now, two more out of my book, Love in Nimbin. And I'm about to destroy black and white. This was written at 9/11 on the 6th of the 11th, 2007. Nothing is ever black or white. There are always shades of grey. Good or bad don't exist, it's just perception, hey? Left or right or red or blue, one-sided it may seem, but there's always balance when we work as just one team. Planet made of rainbows where people can be free to live without the judgment of a different human being. We sit around in circles and solve it as a team. For the problem in a circle is solvable, it seems. A rainbow-coloured circle, each sees a different side. Working all together, the solution cannot hide. When we sit in a big circle, there's one thing we cannot hide, one living human has skin that's black or white. So, black or white as skin colour really don't exist. Black power, white supremacy propagate the racist myth. Elitism, supremacy, you know what I mean, accepting every human being's right to be a human, freely be. Acceptance, love and nurturance wants every human being. Don't judge another sister, brother for the point of view they're seeing. For everyone is different. Everyone's unique. This planet would be boring without all the rainbow freaks. I got invited into Nimbin FM to read from my book's poetry, Love in Nimbin and Lust in Nimbin, but when I went in there to advertise them one day, I got asked by the announcer, "Are you black or white?" And I said, "Neither." I said, "I don't know any black or white people." They said, "Good, you're welcome here." And that's Nimbin. Yeah, there's no black or white really. No. Okay. Now, before I go back to the final one in there, I've got 3 that I've written this week for you. Oh, Vegemite. It makes me happy, stops yucky food from tasting crappy. On carrots, tomatoes and celery, I can even drink Vegemite as a tea. You are unique and also salty with a range of B vitamins. Weirdos think you're revolting, but I know you're not disgusting. Yeah, Vegemite.
Very good for you, the Vegemite.
Oh yes, it's beautiful stuff. All right. Well, before we get on to the weather, we've got. Here we go. This was actually written this morning, prompted by this war, the new one.
Which one?
Israel, the new one, yeah, Israel and Palestine, yeah. Love the creator. I love the creator, the artist and painter, the singer, the poet, and all beauty makers. I love one another, each sister, each brother, the friend, the neighbour, and my mother. Arab, Palestinian, and Jew, I love you. You can get on and love each other too, Buddhist, Muslim, Christian, Buddhist, Muslim, Taoist, Christian. All can partake of a loving position. There isn't any need for partisan clashing with a position of universal compassion. stop the war, suicide, genocide, love each other without apartheid. The world is better with love, not hate. When your loved enemy becomes your mate. And peace will come as love is great, when together as one love will create. Right. And the weather. Because I'm thundercloud, what else would I have but a weather report at the end of the night? Because, after that I could tell you it's cute dolphins or a kitten story, because that's what usually happens at the end of the news. Yeah, kitten story. Oh, look here, this one came up called I Love the Weather, but that's not it. In the land of last, when the first winter winds blow and there's frost on the grass but not yet any snow, the Antarctic blast begins to put on a cool show with winds whistling so fast it blows away a crow. Plus anything unclassed must be grasped or stowed. It's a wind unsurpassed, bringing growth also woe in a stark contrast to summer when few winds blow. It's only 7 lines, that one, so yeah. Whether or not, wow, Wednesday Words is nearly over. And here's the weather from me. If you look out in the sky, there's rainbows you'll see. Whether the weather will be fine, whether the weather be not, whether the weather be cold, whether the weather be hot. Well, whether the weather, whatever the weather, whether we like it or not. Now, the news is nearly over, and that's the weather for me. I hope you went outside and saw the rainbows floating free. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Thundercloud. Now that the weather's over, it's time for you to cheer loud. Hey! Boom! Yeah, I don't have a boom. There's been lots of booms in here today. Yeah. See, even Skye says, yeah, because Skye knows, because there's thunderclouds in the sky. Flying around. They're faster. Oh no, boom. Made a bit of a mess over there, didn't I? With a hammer when I was booming. Yeah, all right, well, that's it for us. Very, very welcome to. Thank you very much for coming tonight. We've only got, 5 weeks until 32 days until the beginning of the Poets on the Mountain Festival here in Guyra. Yeah, and the New South Wales Bush Poetry Championship, including both written and performance. So get your entries in now, because we want to see you here, and it's filling up quick. So yeah, last minute kind of stuff. So yeah, that'll be fantastic. Well, I'm Thundercloud, and I'll see you later when the weather blows me in again. It'll be a Wednesday or a Tuesday, Chillin' Tuesday. Check that out. Yeah, lots of love. Bye.
Yeah. Interesting.